This video mentions my thought patterns as a mentally ill person, and it can be triggering to others with mental illness. So be careful if you choose to continue watching. My diagnosis list got updated. So, in regards to my head area, have CPTSD, OCD, autism, ADHD, and bipolar 1. So, in conclusion, I get migraines frequently. There were some things that I was having a lot of trouble with in regards to all of my trains of thought. It helped for me to reflect on the differentiation of the thoughts, because in my head everything was just... So when I focused on being able to identify the different types of thought, it just helped things feel a little bit smoother. So yeah, this is my personal perspective and my experience. I am not saying that this method is helpful for everybody. For some people, this may contribute to overthinking, but for me specifically, it helped me. This is a disclaimer to follow your own advice. I'm just some guy. Follow your own advice. The first type of thought is, I'm just gonna say, standard thoughts or everyday thoughts. And I'm drawing the pattern of what it feels like when I think about it. Like when I think about it in a category way. That sounds so gross. These are like everyday thoughts. For example, I forget what I'm talking about while I'm talking about it every day, very often. It's really annoying. That is also a reason why my videos are very choppy, because I lose my train of thought a lot. These are everyday thoughts. So something that's bigger like this would be a coping skill, for example, because it took me more work to think about it. But something small like this would be how to put the cat food on their plates, or how to brush my teeth, or like chores. These are not worrisome, they're just standard. The next type of thought is a compulsive thought, and the pattern would be like this. Whenever I have these thoughts, they're mostly relating to things that I've ingrained from the way I was raised. So, for example, a compulsive thought would be, I'm a burden, over and over again. But it wouldn't be in a circle, it would just keep adding more. When there's enough of them, when there's enough of the same thought, then it turns into an action compulsion. Like where I do the compulsion outside of my head. I've gotten a lot better with that, but I still have them. The next type of thought is channeled messages. This is what they would look like. So the difference between channeled messages and compulsive thoughts are that I bring the intention to have the channeled messages. The compulsive thoughts happen because of mental health. These, I use cards and things I watch on TV to connect with energy in order to distract myself. I don't connect to specific people. I only connect to the energy of something. This is just one example of a channel message, because I also use tarot for channel messages. What is this character feeling toward this situation? And because I connect to that feeling because I connect to the feeling of the relationship between the character and the situation, and not focusing on connecting to the character or to the situation, I'm able to understand things that are going on in my own head, and also be able to bring something positive to my attention instead of always having the negative stuff try to distract me from the things I'm watching. So this is a method of how I can be more present while watching something in order to make the distraction more positive and beneficial. Because I also deal with overworking, so I feel like I can't just let myself watch something. I also have to include mental health recovery somewhere. So annoying. But yeah. So here's an example of a channeled message from a character in a situation. One of my favorite shows ever is Adventure Time, and one of my favorite characters is Sweet Pea. He was born out of an evil character, but he's super good and he's super sweet. There was a problem where the evilness of his origin wanted to transform him as an evil agent. So, like, to connect with that situation as a channeled message, I can use that as an example. Like, hey, Sweet Pea faced his fear, and he was able to actively push it away. He was able to actively overcome the evilness that wanted to take him over. Just like I was able to overcome the overwhelming suicidal urge that I had for a long time. That's an example of a channeled message. Yeah. The next type of thought is flashbacks. This is the pattern. Whenever they happen, it's usually because of a trigger. Usually. When I go through periods when my mental health is known to get worse, they happen more frequently and with less needing of a trigger. Like, they just happen more frequently. Usually in the summer. Not for the whole summer now that I've been working on my mental health, but before it used to be for the whole summer. Whenever these happen, it feels like I'm in the situations again. I can't shake my body reacting as if the situation was happening. It just has to, most of the time my body tenses up. Sometimes I twitch really hard. Other ways, I don't want to explain all of them. Sometimes it's so involved. Sometimes the flashbacks are more like, oh, here's a thought, here it is, and then it goes away. Also, sometimes it's not the thought. Sometimes it's the emotion from the situation. For me, I see emotions as like a spectrum instead of like categories. I see it as a circle. So like I feel my emotions with colors, and it's very, it's a very specific shade of color that feels the emotion of the flashbacks. Yeah, I think that's all. The next type of thought is intrusive thoughts. Okay, this is pattern. These thoughts are most of the time relating to my fears. Like, thoughts about like, what if my friends and family members are hurt? What if they're dead? That's a huge one. What if they're dead? What if I hurt my animals? Like, all of these thoughts are fear-based, and they come in and they shake the things up. I'm going to have another video telling of a different method that I deal with intrusive thoughts. Not here, though. I need to focus on these categories. The next type of thought is pattern-seeking thoughts. And it would look something like this. This is where I was confused about visions and this. I was really confused. So because I've been through it, to say it lightly, and because I took in a lot of information of the things that were happening to other people in the world, and I still take in a lot of information of what's happening to people in the world because of activism, because that's what I feel like I am called to do. I take in a lot of that information, and because I have that experience of dealing with pain and fear, and because I'm really empathetic, and because I just want to help people, I put together pieces of information to see the most likely trajectory of things. And a lot of times I'm fucking right, and that's why it was really scary, because these types of thoughts, the pattern-seeking thoughts, are 3D based. They are based on things that I feel called to do on earth with my body, with my hands, with my voice. And they're not fearful. Not that visions are fearful, but they don't take up, it transforms the fear that I went through into something productive to help me and other people. And because it's not positive, the things that need helping are not positive, yet I was confused on why visions were not positive, but it's because these are not visions. This is me using my empathy and my logic to help. For example, because I went through being raised with superstitions, and because I didn't get the adequate mental health support that I needed growing up with all the problems that I was facing, I developed a lot of anxiety, a lot. And I was noticing that people who only had the best intentions of helping others for being their best self, of kind of instilling superstitions that other people's energy was out to get them, and that they needed to put a lot of focus on getting rid of the energy and making sure to protect yourself against the energy. Even though the intention for the person giving the advice and the person receiving the advice was for them to be in a high vibrational energy, I guess, by blocking out the negativity, the way that it's being presented, because many people, especially people who are younger, on TikTok, are unawakened to the severity of their anxiety, and that kind of thinking could lead to very difficult times as more stressful situations happen to them, with age. So the way that I make sense of that, the way that I use the pattern seeking to make sense to me, I know that both of those people only want to feel better. The focus would be more beneficial to be put on trusting that their spiritual person or team or God or beings are so good that they will take care of anything that you may think is out to get you. And I mean energetically speaking. Putting the focus on, I'm putting the focus on protecting myself because people are out to get me is different than my spiritual practice is so sound and so good and so safe for me and anyone else that takes part of it, if you are in an organized religion, that I don't have to worry about people attacking me because my faith is so strong. To reiterate, the problem that I was noticing was that the connotation of the people saying protect your energy was more fear-based, and because of it, it was more likely to lead for the person and for their followers, especially if they are younger, to develop compulsive protection rituals instead of actually coping with the fear that they face. Sorry, I feel like I was talking really slow, so I just put that summarization up. I was really exhausted when I recorded the original video, so I feel like I have to explain why I'm talking so slowly, I guess. But it's just because I'm self-conscious. Feel free to watch this at 2x speed, because that's what I would do. The next type of thought is visions. So, these are not too common. Most of the time, I have them when I feel stable and I feel happy. They don't, most of the time. The one time it happened when I absolutely needed it, but the other times they happen when I was feeling good. And they are infrequent now because I would like to feel better. They happen in dreams, but less but the ones that happen in dreams are less, less involved than the ones that I experience. And I will not be explaining any further with that. That is something very personal that I will only share with whoever ends up marrying me, because it is very personal to my spiritual practice. Yeah, the difference between a vision and the other thoughts is that these are not fear-based, and they come when I am in a good state of mind, not when I'm manic. When I'm manic, I think manic thoughts. And I'm able to save them for later. For example, a channeled message would be in that moment, but a vision would be if it happens and I am like doing the dishes, for example, I can say, okay, let me just put that back for a few more minutes because it doesn't take up heavy space, because it only makes me feel better because of the content. And yeah, the next type of thought is manic thoughts. Looks like this. So this happens, whenever I have manic episodes, they last for a few days at most, which is not too bad. At least it's only a few days and not months like some other people. So whenever I have these thoughts, it's like I take all of the patterns all of the patterns that I have drawn, and like molded it up and squished it and rolled it up like a Play-Doh snake, and then like going around in circles. Yeah. It's tough, but I'm grateful that these only last a few days, these episodes. And I only have them at most 3 times a year, so not too bad. The next type of thought is hallucinations. And this is these happen when I am extremely stressed. Most of the time, it's like a feeling of bugs on me, or like feeling or seeing things that aren't there. Seeing people that aren't there is a big one. None of the hallucinations ever touch me except for the feeling of the bugs on me. But they only happen when I'm extremely stressed, and they add to the stress. Also, when I have sleep paralysis, I think that would be a hallucination. I'm pretty sure. This last type of thought is just for fun. Anytime I think of something positive or funny or a good memory or see a picture I like or memes or like the way nature smelled or how wind feels in my face when I'm driving, good stuff like that. It feels like this. And that's how I'm going to end it, on a very, very gay note.